Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Move to the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. So let us dance this night away.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Be More Super Live. I'm Brian, your host, with my co-host Dan. Hello, Dan. How are you, sir?
Yeah, not so bad, not so bad. A bit worse for wear once again. It's starting to become a bit of a habit. I didn't realise that Tuesday was my drinking night, so every time I come and see you on a Wednesday night, I'm sat there nursing one.
Well, Dan, you have got a reputation, my friend. I really have.
You outed me last week about that, didn't you?
I did, and we're here to get you help. We are, a supportive team here. If you ever want to talk, but I tell you what, isn't it hot at the moment? Over 100 Fahrenheit here in the UK. I am literally boiling from the inside out. We are not used to this in the UK. AC doesn't exist anywhere except for your cars. So I think after this live stream, I might sit in the car for a bit. What an exciting live stream we've got this week.
I'm absolutely giddy about this. I watched their most recent film this week, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I thought it was brilliant. I genuinely thought it was one of the best movies I've seen, and it's a couple of years old as well. So I'm like, I'm late to the game on it, I'm afraid.
Well, you know what? Again, I was late to the game. So I had Jesse V. Johnson, awesome director, on the show for One Ranger, and then I looked at his back catalogue, and there it just jumped out. Hell Hath No Fury. What an awesome film. And we've got a great guest. She's an actor, model, musician, activist. There's nothing that this lady cannot do. So let's introduce her. It's Nina Bergman. Nina, welcome to the show, my love.
How are you guys?
Oh, do you know what? I am okay. Dan, how are you, sir?
I'm all the better for seeing Nina, I must admit. That's kind of picked my day up. But, not that you're pretty enough, Brian, but seeing you on a Wednesday, is not the highlight of my day. It is now.
I like to sign off.
What's that, sorry? Oh, I think we may have a few issues while...
yeah, I hear a delay. I'm not sure if you guys are hearing it too.
Oh, yeah. Let me check for you. This is what happens when we go live. It is fine. Maybe take your headphones out and then start from afresh.
What happens when we go?
There we go. So, can you hear us okay now? Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you guys, but there is a violent delay going on.
Oh,
that is so frustrating because we were just chatting off air prior to recording, and as soon as Brian pressed the button, all of a sudden we sound like we're in literal different countries, which we are. Bit annoying.
It is, isn't it? I have got to say. How about I've got an idea, Nina. If you
What
log
about I
out,
try you from my phone?
yes, that could work. So if you log out, and then we'll get you back in. This is what professionals do. They try and keep the show together when things don't go right. This is what happens on shows like this morning. On TV. But we're professionals.
Okay, I'll try you on the phone.
Yes. Okay.
This is my favorite interview already. I'm enjoying every second of it right now.
Do you know what? It doesn't. Do you know what? It doesn't help with the heat either,
No.
because the pressure is on and the heat is getting hot right now. And I've got to say, if it gets any hotter, I'll have to put ice packs down my clothes.
I've got the fan on. You know, it just you turn it on, and then it stays on for about 3 months. I'm just gonna strip naked and just stand in front of it. That's what I've got planned for this evening after this.
So while we're waiting for Nina to come back on, I've got to say I watched a great documentary last night. Oh no, she's coming on now. So let me just bring her on. Let's see.
This is none.
There we go. Can you hear us now, Nina?
I can. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Yes,
it is perfect.
God, look at that. Maybe it's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Wi-Fi. Maybe it's the Four Season.
Who knows? It could be the internet gods testing us. But like with any challenges, which we're going to be talking about, Nina, I'm sure that you face many challenges in your career. But obviously you're an actor, model, musician. So we're going to talk about quite a few of these, if that's okay, because your career is just absolutely fascinating. It really, really is, because you've done a lot of things in your career already. So how did the journey start for you getting into this industry? Because it's not sort of the ideal job. It's not a 9-to-5 job. So what made you want to get into show business?
I was kind of born into it. I had grandparents, a gypsy grandmother that was traveling. So I was born and raised in Denmark. So I traveled with her starting at 4 years old and started performing. And my dad is a professor at the Danish Film School. So I was thrown into, all of the student films. And then I started as a ballerina at 4 years old. I decided to be a prima ballerina.
Wow.
So
and
it was my DNA. I can't cook. I can't type. I don't really have any other talents.
but you've done stunts as well. Well, you say no other talents, so you act, you sing, you do stunts, you write. You do all of this. Yeah. So I suppose we can forgive you for not cooking.
Oh, thank you.
It's okay. and we see as the fans the glamour that the industry is, especially all the red carpets. What would you say is the most unglamorous thing about your career?
I mean, I would say all of it. I mean, I think, like, for example, the movie that I did with Jesse Johnson, right? Like running around in dirt and turning yourself inside out. And it's just, the whole thing is just not as glamorous as it looks. I think it's all about being raw and turning yourself inside out, and it doesn't feel very glamorous. I mean, it's nice hotel rooms, like it looks nice, but the art of it is not very nice, and what we put ourselves through there.
I suppose so. I mean, if we want to talk about that wonderful movie, so I had Jesse V. Johnson on the show about 4 weeks ago, and this man is a pure genius when it comes down to films, to directing and getting the best out of people. And Hell Hath No Fury, I've got to say, is probably one of the most powerful films I've seen in many, many years. I mean, if you could give the viewers and listeners a bit of a rundown of what the film is about and whom you play.
I play a French resistant fighter, based on a true story, who worked as back then, they would go and date the Nazis to gather information. And this particular Nazi that she was dating, she actually found out that he killed her parents. So, that's the core of my story. And then all these other wonderful things happen. But no, it's based on a true story, so it was a pretty heavy one for me.
I mean, it is. I mean, it is very heavy to watch, but it's such beautifully shot, and the action in it is just incredible. I mean, when you got the role, when you got offered the role, what was the first thing that went through your mind? Did you want the role to begin with? And what sort of research and development did you go through to get into the character?
Well, that's a loaded question. I had to fight for the role. They had someone else in mind at first. So I had to really fight. The producers had someone else in mind. And, when I read the script, I saw her instantly, and that's always a good sign. Then I know, okay, this is something that I can really do. And then the second thing that I look for is, it kind of scared me. I was like, I don't know if I can do the part justice. So that's always a good sign for me. It'll keep me on my toes, and I love challenges. And then I just started, this vigorous research. I'm crazy when it comes to research. I think that it's all about research. So I read everything, saw everything I could get my hands on. It was very hard to get information because a lot of the survivors from the Holocaust don't want to talk about it. So it was very tricky to get the information, but I did I did cry myself to sleep much every night when I shot that movie because of the images and the stuff that I read. And it was I thought Jesse did a beautiful job at not showing all of the horrors of what really happened. And you just get a little taste of it, and they talk about it, but you didn't have to sit through it.
It was very much inferred in places, wasn't it? There wasn't it wasn't as graphic as it could have been, but it showed a side of the war that you don't really learn about, you don't really hear about these types of stories. Yeah. Well, in our education system, not so much. I assume it's probably spoken about more in places such as France and things like that. And you mentioned earlier on about your about the trials and tribulations that you went through when you were filming this movie. Now, on one hand, yes, you're rolling around in the dirt in nothing more than the tiniest dress I've ever seen, and then on the other hand, you're working with big sexy Daniel Bernhardt. I mean, I've got quite the man crush on, and I must admit, Nina, I was quite jealous.
You should be. He's
even with the scar, he was he gave me a stir. Oh, I tell you what.
Thank you. If I have to fall in love with someone, like, okay, then twist my arm. Yeah.
And I've got to say as well, Timothy Murphy, he literally in all his roles, plays this tough guy. He played an IRA guy in Sons of Anarchy, and obviously he's quite tough and ready in this movie. But to speak to him in real life, he's got the softest Irish accent, and he's like a gentle giant. I mean, what was it like filming? Because it was COVID time, so it must have been quite difficult to film and get away from set at times?
Yeah, it was my favorite way of filming because it was a very close set. You know, I come from the theater world, and I love, um, you know, the big productions are fun, but I like it when it gets more intimate. And I worked with Timothy before because we did Jesse Johnson's Wonder Woman trailer together.
Which is
He
awesome.
played the Nazi. Yes. So I knew of his process. You know, he's actor studio method like myself. So the whole process, Jesse, I'm sure would tell you the same. It just felt like, you know, Louis Mandalore and Timothy, and you know, it was just a bunch of actors that wanted to really explore these characters and play and have fun. And there was not, you know, we don't have a scripty. We had a very sparse set, so everyone was doing everyone's job, and it just felt like very fun family, like you were back in acting class or something. You know, you could explore, you could rehearse. You know, it was we got very close very fast, and it was a very compressed shoot, so everyone kind of had to step it up. Yeah,
I mean, I
shot it
mean,
pretty
I
fast.
mean, the film has got so many tense scenes, and I've got to say, one of my favorite scenes is when you're tied to the cross and you're getting the skulls shot from the top of your head. And I tell you why, because for me, when I'm watching a film or a TV program and I'm looking for the acting, I think the best acting is when words aren't necessarily used, and it's all in the eyes, it's all in the facial expressions, and you do such a phenomenal job to draw the audience in from when
Thank
you're,
you.
you know, when you're in that moment and he's stepping away further and you could see how scared you are. I mean, was there certain scenes in that film that was more difficult to shoot from an actor's point of view?
I mean, that one was um, easy in the sense that I was tied to a cross. You know, I've done all my research, so I was genuinely freaked out. I mean, I had a thing exploding on my head.
Mm.
The first time they did it, something happened, and I got some skull teeth in my head, and I was bleeding, and I have this thing exploding on my head while creepy, gnarly Timothy is like snorting at me and whispering. You know, if you do your research and you work with actors like that, and you have a director like Jesse who just kind of set up the scenario, and then you can just kind of do your thing. I mean, it feels pretty real. I got completely claustrophobic up there, and I had my moments up there, and it didn't really feel much like acting for me in those moments.
I
You know,
mean, I mean, you know, just there, it sounds like, you know, it took a lot out of you. So when you finished shooting, because this always interests me, because you give your all while on set and within
mhm.
that character. So when they shout cut and you walk away from set, what do you do to get maybe out of character, to sort of relax, get your headspace right? Because I mean, did you like take the character and leave it on set, or did you take it back with you off set? Did you keep in character, or was it a case of you took a nice bath and had a glass of wine and just relaxed until the next day?
No, I can't. With a character like that, I have to bring it home. I wanted to stay right next to the set, so they let me stay in the producer's house because it was right next to the set, so I could walk there. And you know, it was like a beautiful place with a bubble bath and the whole nine. I didn't do any of it because I wanted to live kind of like how Marie, the character, lived. And I would kind of like after shooting, I would kind of crawl home and try to scrub off the dirt and go to bed and do some more research, um, and just try to cram my head with as much information as I could because I so desperately wanted to convey what this woman went through. You know, I
Hmm.
can't have went through it, but I was like, at least I'm gonna do my all to try to do it. So I didn't make any calls. I think I did made one email and no text. You know, I don't talk to anyone, and I kind of keep her with me at all time, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know how you snap out of it. I guess some people can do that, but I don't know how you do that.
I mean,
We do it regularly on this show, Nina. You know, normally we're sat with a cocoa. We're normally under a blanket. You know, but then on this show, we're upbeat. We're crazy guys. We're just having a great time. And then as soon as we press the button that breaks everything, we're back. We're back on the settee with our cocoa, going, "Ah, that was fun, wasn't it?" You know, we're very good at that.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, a little bit different.
Yeah, I
I
think
guess,
yours is a lot more mentally taxing than ours, to be fair.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I put to if you were a rock star, you know, I did that too, where you go out on stage, you put on a show, you do your thing, and then you go home in your ugly PJ and, you know, sit there and whatever, you know.
I mean, we are going to speak about your awesome music career in a moment, but I just wanted to ask, what was your biggest takeaway from starring in that film, knowing that it was based on a real character? I mean, did you take away anything from that movie that will always stay with you?
Oh yeah. When you play a character like that, you see the world a little differently, you know. Um, I've mentioned this before. Marie has a quiet power that I didn't have before I really played her, where I'm angry and want to punch, I scream, I'm kind of very outward, you know, and with my emotions, big emotions. And Marie didn't have that. She didn't have any physical power. She didn't have what I have. So, but she had a quiet power that was so much more powerful than mine, I thought, because of what she went through. And, you know, I don't think if I was her, I would have had the courage to pull off what she did. I would probably have thrown in the towel way before. But she had this quiet strength that I took with me. You know, I think after that, I think I got a little more quiet. I became a better listener. I am, you know, yeah, I don't think, you know, I'm so quick to always talk if there's no one talking, or, you know, put on a show
Did you?
sometimes.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what I was going to say. Because sometimes when you're on a high and you've been on stage performing musically, like you were saying, like you're a rock star for 45 minutes, for an hour, you're in charge of the world, and you find it very difficult to come down as soon as those
Yeah.
curtains close, and when it comes to doing something straight, for example, when it comes to doing something um, as mentally taxing as this, did you have a fear that you may overact it a little bit, and did you have that fear in the back of your head, thinking, am I being a rock star here, or am I being a member of the French Revolution, as it were? Did you ever have that fear?
No, no, because I don't, if I thought like that, I would be screwed. You know, I do, as I said, so much preparation. You know, it's all about the moment before, her life before, you know, what she ate for breakfast, what does she eat, how does she grow up, do, like, I'm so busy with all of the research that all of those thoughts, if I'm, you know, I that because then I can't be, as soon as you think, you're screwed, right? You can't think and act at the same time. You just have to be. So it's like one of those things, you do so much preparation and then you show up, at least for me, and then I just let it all hang out. And whatever is there is there. If I overact, I trust Jesse will tell me, hey. But I don't think, you know, it would be overacting. Maybe I'll just make a stronger choice that maybe wouldn't fit in the movie or character. Or Jesse would sometimes tell me, you know, I was a little insecure with the French accent. I had to learn it very fast. I didn't feel like I had enough time. And sometimes he was like, hey, just forget about that French accent. And then whatever would come out would come out,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Yeah.
I mean,
Did a great job.
I did ask Jesse any funny stories about Nina, and he didn't give me any. All he wrote was, I too was blown away by her, not only her skill, but her kindness in coming out to the desert to read through as a favor for me. She's an incredible person and a committed and passionate artist. I love working with her. How nice is that? You could just feel the love just there, you can. And, you know, it's quite refreshing because there are some horrid directors out there that are not very nice. So it's quite nice, I suppose, to come across directors like Jesse. I mean, what was he like to be directed by?
I mean, he was on my vision board.
Was he?
I've had a vision board for years. When I first came out here and I did Wonder Woman, I put Jesse on my vision star in the Jesse Johnson movie. So
Wow.
yeah, so
Wow.
big moment for me. And recent being is because he's a true artist. He loves history. He does research. He's very authentic, and then he does what a lot of directors don't. He hire amazing actors, and he's really good at casting. And then he just let us do our thing. So he doesn't come in and line read and micromanage. He would just like kind of guide us. He would just be like, well, maybe like this, or we would talk about the characters or where they would come from, or would have questions, or he would just very gently say little things, but never where, you know, sometimes directors give you so many notes it puts you in your head, and as we talked about before, I think that's the worst thing. You're in your head and you start thinking, and then you're not acting, you know, thinking about.
Exactly. That's being doing something like that is. It would be quite, I find really taxing, especially if somebody's telling me off. So, in terms of this production and some of the big budget movies that you've done, this one was, you know, it's a smaller indie movie. Do you feel that that gives you more opportunity in which to exercise your acting chops, as it were?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, me personally, I will take these smaller indie movie over you know, the big ones are fun, but there's a lot of waiting. It's there's a lot of technical things where in you know, with Jesse, like for example, we shot in chronological order too. You know, so it's easier to do in that sense, and the director has the power to change things, where in the bigger, you know, pictures, the director doesn't always have the power. It's the studio that decides how we're doing things. The studio, you know, I've had experiences where the studio would come and tell me that I need to wear heels to look sexier, and I was like, well, I can't really fight in 3-inch heels. It's very difficult. Yeah.
I'm sure you personally would find a way, Nina. Given what I saw from this movie, I reckon you could pull that off.
You know, you do whatever you have to do, but you know, if it had been an indie movie, I could maybe say, hey, you know, if you want a really good fight, you know, let me wear some combat boots.
Or take the shoes off first. But no, I mean, it's weird you saying that about the studios interfering, because we had Neil Marshall, the director, on a couple of weeks ago, and he directed Hellboy, and he doesn't like talking about it because of the amount of interference from the studio affected the film. So it's quite nice, I suppose, having an independent, because with these indie films, you get a lot more heart, you get a lot more sort of love within that movie. But talking about great directors and great stars, you've acted opposite quite some amazing casts. I mean, is there any actors to mind that you just think it was just such a pleasure to work with? Because I saw Oliver Gruner on one of your IMDb's. I don't know if you've worked with him. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I did. I did a movie with him. He's a lot of fun. I mean, he's an amazing martial artist, an amazing kicker. Yeah, he's really great. And I tend to lean towards, you know, more of the theater actors. You know, Ron Perlman, you know, is one of my favorite, talking about Hellboy. You know, and people that love rehearsing. And one of my ultimate favorites is a guy named Peter Stormare. I don't know if you know him.
No, let me.
Peter Stormare. You see him.
He's going to do a quick look up, and then it'll be in something huge, and we will have just completely passed it by. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
Fargo, to Big Lebowski, to
Constantine.
You know, he's one.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the devil in Constantine.
Yeah. Oh, but you know when you hear a name and you're like, I do know who that is, but you don't want to be the guy that goes, I'm sure he's that guy in that thing, and then all of a sudden he's not, and you're thinking of somebody absolutely huge. You know what I mean? I'm glad you did that, Brian,
Yeah.
because that would have pissed me off all night. No?
Yeah. No, I like the character actor
Mm.
that likes to take chances. They're fun.
I mean, talking
Yeah.
about your passion of obviously acting, you've got a passion for music as well. And what I want to know is what came first. Was it the passion for music or passion for acting?
I think when I was younger, I was intimidated because I had a very famous Russian grandfather. He played Ivan the Terrible. He was one of Russia's greatest actors. He was like Stalin's protege, his personal private, actor. And so I felt a little intimidated. And then when I started acting, they didn't want me in Denmark at the Danish acting school. I had an accent when I moved to London at 14, so it was very hard. And I couldn't really, I had a hard time booking anything. And then with the music, I had an easier time because I could hide my accent. And it's a little more, I mean, if you can sing, you're good and you'll book. Where if you can act good, doesn't mean that you'll book anything.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. And then I did
Um,
a lot of plays from early on, but I didn't make any money. So it was very hard. So I was singing, it's kind of like in.
I mean, you started a band called Shock Nina, and then
Yeah.
later on, Dead Rose Beauty, that actually got signed
Yeah.
by Warner Brothers. But I was really shocked to find out that you were actually managed by Paul Anka, which is the wonderful man that, yeah.
Yeah. I started a guy named Chester from Lincoln Park. We shared the same drummer. He had a band, and then he would take us under his wing. And then I started with him, and we started like making house of Blues by ourselves, and we started doing really good. And then Paul Anka saw us and was like, "I want to help you." And at that time, I was modeling to support my three guys, and I was booking all our own shows, and I was doing everything ourselves, and I was just really burned out. You have to do a lot of La Perla and Victoria's Secret ads to pay for me and three guys. So I was just burned out. So I signed with Warner Brothers, and then they let my band go. That was the first thing they did.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kind of that was a tough one. And then I was hostage there. I wrote about 160 songs, and I started doing more songs for film and TV. And then and then I just started acting more. And then finally, I managed to get out of my contract, and that's when I committed to acting full time because I was like, I can't really do both. It was too difficult. I started working with a band called Letters from the Fire, and I was like, if I'm on the road 6 months out of the year, I can't do the acting. I have to choose my love. It was like having two lovers.
Oh. I mean,
I had to pick one.
have you got any plans to go back to music then, or is that just finished? I mean, because obviously you've got some EPs out, and I've got to say as well, you've got to have some awesome stories. I mean, supporting Meatloaf, Scorpion, to name a few. I mean, to give that all up, that must have been such a big decision. But I bet you've got some great memories of being on the road.
Yeah, I'm never going to give it up. I'm doing a movie next year in the first and second quarter that I co-wrote and that I'm producing and starring in that got picked up. So I'm doing all the music to that one. And then I'm doing another TV show at the end of next year where I will be singing. So I'm still, I'm still doing it. I just don't think I can tour. And I will still do, I think, little shows here and there, but I just don't think I can go on the road.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, your music as well, I've got to say, is it's either sort of poppy and then you've got rocky, like you've got rock sort
Yeah.
of feel to it. Is there a style that you actually prefer if you had to choose one?
Yeah, I mean, I started, I heard Nine Inch Nails when I was really young, and it changed my life. Industrial rock, and then Linkin Park. I grew up in Linkin Park, so I think that's where my heart is. But I studied opera. I went to an opera school, and then I did musical theater, so I was always kind of like torn. Um, and I like good strong pop. I would totally do, but my heart is, I mean, play me some Rammstein and I'm happy.
You like
Inside,
the dirty stuff.
inside,
I
I feel
enjoy
like
it.
a 250-pound, tatted up, bearded up
Hairy guy.
dude.
Yeah, I think that's my favourite bit of the Eurovision Song Contest, because you've got this uber camp, wonderful show that's happening, and then there's always a big group of big hairy Scandinavians turn up and just start screaming at everybody. It's always my favourite part.
That would be.
Listen,
I don't look hard,
yeah.
but yeah.
Right. So I tell you what, I get fascinated by this. So when people come over to the UK, I get fascinated with the things that are happening in and around the country. So, for example, you said you came over to London. I mean, do you mind me asking what sort of era that was? What sort of time was that? What year?
It was like 17 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
16
So we're talking mid 2000s.
years
So
ago.
I'm just thinking, if I'm thinking around like 2005, 2006, something like that. And you kind of want to. I want you to try and talk about some of the cultural things that you saw, like Atomic Kitten being really popular, or you saw these big hairy ass guys in football shirts all screaming along to the World Cup and things like that. Did you get a big culture shock coming over here, or did you feel it was quite a cosmopolitan city when you arrived? And I want to know where in London you lived as well, by the way.
I lived in Hampstead at a nun hostel for troubled kids.
Well,
I was 14.
all right, so no hairy
And
ass football fans then.
yeah, so I didn't experience that, and then I went to Urdang Academy in Covent Garden, a musical theater school.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I
So,
didn't, in Covent Garden, I might have seen some of that, but I didn't. I was 14, so
yeah.
I would drink tea in pubs, and people would look at me funny. I
Well,
was.
you've got to
Do you
fit
know?
in with the, that's what everybody does in London, right? That's what we all do. That we're British. We go to pubs and we drink tea.
Do you know what, Dan? Dan, I've just thought around the time Nina was in Covent Garden, I was
Hmm.
managing the Build-A-Bear workshop
What, in
in
Covent
Covent
Garden?
Garden. Yeah, where you went to build teddy bears. You went to build teddy bears. You stuffed them and you buy clothes.
Yeah,
I was the manager there at Covent Garden around that time.
but I never went and built a teddy bear.
You were
Oh,
14. It's
you
fine.
didn't build a teddy bear, Nina. Come on now. I mean, look at all the fun you can have by looking at these empty carcasses of teddy bears and filling it up with old sponge that gets in an old washing machine tunnel. Like, come on. It's the height of fun. It's 2004, for God's sake. Come on. Whoa.
Do you know what? Do you know what? The method at Build-A-Bear workshop that you had to explain to everyone that was coming in is that each section of the shop had a name, and you started off with choose me, then stuff me, then fluff me, dress me, and take me home. That was the
Brian,
method.
are you
And
sure this was a Build-A-Bear workshop? Because
this is Build-A-Bear
it sounds like some
workshop.
of the spas in Brighton.
This is designed for kids, and it's like you had to explain that to every single family that came in. Very disturbing, honestly, very disturbing indeed. But yeah, I mean, what was I going to ask? You've just literally threw it off, Dan, with
Yeah, I was talking about Build-A-Bear workshop for 10 minutes. Yeah.
with
It's a
London.
honestly, I find it fascinating, because you've got these things that only British people do, and then coming over at such a young age, Nina, you must have looked around
Yeah.
and thought, what the holy hell is happening there?
Everything was so different when I first came. I mean, the way you guys eat with all the chips and that black marmalade on the white toast, and it was very cliquey when I first came. The British people didn't really like me, but the
Hmm.
friends that I still have, you guys are the most loyal people. It took a second to like get
Hmm.
in.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember the culture. I went to a couple of clubs I probably shouldn't have gone to. Um, and um, and no, I had a good time, but I lived at that nun hostel with 17
Mm.
girls in each room. So it was a little
Mm.
rough.
Well,
Ah.
Yeah.
Hampstead's quite nice, but you didn't live in a nice bit of it. So, there's, I kind of, if you walked out, you got the nice bit, but where you actually lived might not have been as great as what you could have been. It's not like you're getting a full London experience, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the best part was I lived next to John. Apparently, he has his house up there.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
can't be bad.
That.
So, so
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I've got to mention as well that you do Cameo, which I think's awesome. I mean, how do you find doing the messages for the fans? I mean,
So,
what
sorry,
sort of
before you carry on, Brian, can you just tell me where do I go for that? I'm just asking for a friend.
what the Cameo?
Yep. You just tell me for a friend. I just need to text a mate. In no way am I looking up Nina on Cameo right now.
So,
Just
how can we follow
um,
you on Cameo, Nina? That's what Dan is
Uh,
asking.
it's my name, Nina Bergman, and I do the messages that makes people happy. Sometimes I get asked some funny stuff. I mean, that I can't do.
Oh dear.
Sometimes I get some, friends, but
I,
I've had really beautiful experiences. Mothers for their daughters were amazing fans. They just wanted a message for their birthday, or they just feel depressed and they want something positive, or they just, I mean, whatever. I have to sing something, or, you know, um, for the most part, it's been a lot of fun and a beautiful experience. And then sometimes you get like someone asking to see you.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, do you
do
know
you know
what?
what? I might put myself on Cameo. I tend not to get those requests anymore since I've turned 40. So I might I might get myself on there. See what's about, and then see.
But it's okay with the fans. I have some amazing fans that's been with me, some of them from the very beginning when I first started, and had like 5 people at my shows, to doing some of, these super bad low budget movies that I was probably, and then, met some of them at Comic Cons, and, it's just, my experience with social media and meeting fans has been extremely positive.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I think it's kind of like what you give, you get,
Mm.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I have
yeah.
a lot of young girls who are really amazing and sweet, and a lot of inspiring people. Yeah,
Were
I've had.
were you surprised by how popular you were on things like Cameo and things like Twitter, now X? Were you surprised at your popularity? Because sometimes people can live out there, and you don't know that you exist in their world. And then when all of a sudden you start connecting with the fans, did you feel like, wow, I'm kind of doing okay here, and this is really nice?
Yeah, I mean, I think meeting people in person has always been the most powerful. When people come up with your band name tattooed on your arm, or fans would spend 6 months painting it, and they would show up a picture and give it to you. Or I had a fan from Italy show up, and she painted my portrait in her own blood, like very, you know, um, intense things.
Yeah.
You hear the story,
Wow.
of how you affected them, and you have no idea. I'm just doing my thing, and we're just all doing our thing, and sometimes, I try to share it, and then you don't know how it's gonna be perceived, and I'm like, if you have 2 or 3 fans that where you make a difference, I mean, you have made it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
a tattoo of Brian, and he doesn't know yet. So I was going to unleash that on this show.
I'm not going to say what it is of, but
But is it like here on your lower back, like right back here?
Do you know what, Nina? I'd love to say yes for hilarity, but Brian's known me a number of years, and he knows full well that I've got a terrible lion tattoo down the back of there because there was a big Scandinavian lady that I really wanted to tattoo me, and I'd run out of space on my arms, so I've got lower back tramp stamp lion that I've had half lasered, but you never find the time, and I'm I'm 40 now. Sorry, say
real?
again. Is it real?
Is this real?
Yeah. No, yeah. You wanted me to show you now? Is that what's about to happen? Oh, good lord!
Go on.
All right. Okay. Okay. You're gonna have to excuse my shorts, by the way.
Wait a second. Are they shorts? Or are they boxer shorts? Have you got boxer shorts on?
These are Miami Dolphins shorts from Primark, so that's nice.
Okay. Okay, I'll forgive you. Primark.
And if I look here, you see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a treat for all the lady listeners there. Any of you ladies want to get in touch? I'll be available on Cameo in about an hour's time.
But I thought you were a fan. I thought you would wear my Saks underwear. I did these 5 commercial Saks underwear where I was the ball connoisseur in the commercials.
Right. Sorry, but Brian, just amuse yourself for a minute. I wanna learn more about this. Ball connoisseur.
What is a ball connoisseur?
It's called Saks underwear, and I did the whole campaign. I did 5 commercials, and they banned them at Super Bowl. We got banned a lot of places. I had a lot of fun. I thought it was kind of brilliant, but Super Bowls didn't. It was very risque.
That just recently now. You're looking at that right now.
Yeah. So I educate men how to be a gentleman by taking care of their balls by wearing the right underwear.
Well, that's interesting actually, because while Brian Googles that, on one of my other podcasts, we're sponsored by a men's grooming product. So if you do want 20% off, you can get at me on X for a code. But anyway, we'll move on from that. Brian, have you got any normal questions for Nina?
Yeah. So Nina, your website. You can buy lovely autographs from your website, as well as your EPs. So. Yes, and I tell you,
we've made him blush, Nina. We've made him blush, and whatever he's just Googled, he's now very excited about it, and he's going to be sat down for another 20 minutes.
Listen, I want to. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
Yeah. So if you go onto Nina's website, you can actually get signed photos, signed CDs. You can even get the picture of you as Wonder Woman on your website as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, everyone get on there, and get your signed pictures and CDs. Dan, I'll let you just take over. Honestly, this is a family
Nina,
show.
Where in Denmark did you? I've been to Copenhagen. I went on the Øresund Bridge. That's a hell of a feat in engineering. Big fan of that. I mean, where in Denmark did you spend most of your time as a young'un?
In Copenhagen. I grew up in Copenhagen.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow! I must say, big fan of that, and but not so much as the amount of money that they charge to get drunk. If I wanted, like Jägermeister and Red Bull, the Jaeger bomb, that was like €8 in 2016, and that's obscenely expensive.
Well, it's cigarettes, alcohol, anything that you don't need is expensive.
But if I can get feedback on the way I look after my testicles, that's all there. I mean, that's easy accessible, right?
But it doesn't stop the Danes. They still drink. They just do it at home. You know,
Ah,
we just
Am
do
I,
it at home. We
am I
get
right? Am I right
before
in saying that Copenhagen is the home of the mermaid?
yes.
that's true. We have the Little Mermaid.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was. I used to get. I used to get read stories, the Hans Christian Andersen stories, when I was a kid, and also the if you go to the Little Mermaid statue, it's deceptively further away than what you think, and you get a lot of people that climb down to see if they can skip over to the statue, and the amount of people that fall in is genuinely hilarious to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's
There's
a
no
little
question there.
disappointing because people go, I mean, I'm here in Budapest now, and they have, the castles and, Paris, the Eiffel Tower, with all these monumental things in different cities. You have the bridges, and in Denmark we have a tiny Little Mermaid.
Well,
I,
it
I,
could,
I don't know the area in which that statue is in, though, that part of town,
That
I found absolutely
incredible.
stunning. Mm,
Yeah, I think she's too,
yeah,
but I'm a
yeah,
little
so I
there.
love how
Yeah,
this live stream has gone from your awesome career, Nina, to balls to now a travel show. And I'm just like literally looking at the time. I mean, obviously we
yeah.
can't speak too much about what is coming up for you. I mean, obviously you've got Chief of Station, which is another Jesse Johnson film,
Yes.
which is awesome. Who do you play in that? And can you explain a bit about the film?
Yeah, I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about it? And did Jesse say I can talk a little bit about it?
According to Jesse Johnson himself, because it's an independent movie, you can, but this is from the director himself because I did double check.
Okay. Okay, and we know who the lead is too, right?
Yes.
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 I'm trying to think how I can talk about it without giving too much away.
What type of character do you play? Just if you want to talk about your character, and then
Q in James Bond,
nice.
kind of. And then Jesse wanted her more like a suit and sophisticated, so a little more like M in her personality. And I have a relationship with Aaron Eckhart, and then time passes, and then we meet and stuff. But I don't know how to talk about it without giving too much away. It's a very interesting character. It's very different. She's a very wordy. She's very different. He just wanted me in there, so it's not a very big character, but she's great.
Yeah.
So anytime Jesse calls, I'm always available. If I love working with Jesse. He's fantastic.
That is
As
awesome.
you know.
Nina, you've been a great guest. I'm going to end the stream now. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for everyone that's been watching. Please hit subscribe, like, share. We've got guests every single week. Nina, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'd love to have you on in the future for your future things that you potentially could talk about for next year, because you are going to be a very, very busy person in the coming years. But Nina, look after yourself, keep safe, and stay super.
Thank you.